The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Azalina, and I am joined by a gentleman who I think, Regz, I think our last episode might have gotten the most feedback of any episode we've done to this point.
It was one of your more epic rants. I loved every second of it. I can't wait to go back and listen to it, when I need to. It's like it's going to be one of those moments that just randomly I'll download that episode. Like there are a few. I go and listen to the first one just because it's fun to listen to the the intro of the first one. I listened to episode 100 the other day. That was a fun one. I go back and listen to when we got Trey Turner. That was a fun one. I go back to...
Gotta listen to Rube.
Yeah, Rube's a good one. I like going back to listen to Alex. She was great.
She was a good one.
I go back and listen to a few... it might be sadistically, but I go back and listen to the World Series loss one. And some of those run podcasts were just a lot of fun to go back and listen to. And then the only one I haven't gone back and listened to the Super Bowl win one yet.
Well, Azzy wasn't in his best shape that night.
Maybe that's why. I did that.
I started out strong, and
you hit a wall. You hit a wall.
I really hit a wall in that one. really hit a wall in that one. That was not my finest hour.
It's so funny because it was the polar opposite. I hadn't drank a drop for 5 hours because I couldn't do it. I didn't.
I mean, I could, and I did. And I did, man. I did. No, but that roast got a lot of hype. I got a lot of hype.
That's really funny.
So that was a fun night. So how you doing, man? How's the week? What's going on?
Just lots of rain down here. It's kind of been a huge bummer.
I feel like, tell me April and May didn't switch identities.
They might have, because especially now, it's the last weekend of regular season games for the boys for baseball. And now, Chase has already got moved to Sunday. We're supposed to go to the Phillies game on Sunday. And we haven't been in a while. And so now I'm I don't know if we're going to be able to go now if Coles gets switched also, from Saturday to Sunday, because they got to get them in because playoffs start, next week.
Yeah.
So the rain has put a damper on things a little bit down here. I mean, other than that, the week's going fine, but messing up the schedule and making these games move all around, it's been annoying.
Yeah, it's been a very odd May with the weather. I feel like it's been cooler, rainier than your typical May. We are going to the stadium on Sunday, Andrea and I. So if you go down,
yeah, we'll let you know.
Gotta make sure you text. Get to see our buddy Reese Hoskins.
That's right. I know. That's why it's a bummer.
Yeah. Did you guys do anything for Memorial Day? Any picnics or anything?
We had 7 baseball games over Friday,
Whoa.
Saturday, Sunday. So that's what we did for most of that. Monday was a big chill day until we had a little bit of a cookout that night, just with Angie's mom. Okay. So nothing crazy, nice. But it was a recovery day for everybody. That's nice. I mean, look, the weather was perfect. It was 70 degrees and sunny. So it's not like we were tired, from it being 85 and having to sit in the sun all day for, 2 days straight. But so luckily the weather was really nice. But when you're at that
Yeah.
many baseball games, you need a recovery day. So it's nice to have that.
You need to chill. Yeah,
Yeah.
we my family does a Memorial Day picnic every year at my parents' house. So, I think I only get the invite because I grill. And that's it. That's the only reason I get invited to this experience is I will grill and no one else has to worry about the food.
There you
That's
go.
my belief. But it was a beautiful day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really, 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 really was. It was cool. We used to play these like really intense wiffle ball games when I was a kid at Memorial Day. And like this year, my little cousin and like my next door neighbor, you remember Fenning,
Yeah.
his son, like they were having a blast playing wiffle ball. It was hilarious to watch. I was like, is that what I used to look like out there? Like just, running around like a psycho.
Ours was run the bases. They got pretty intense playing
like
run
pickle?
the bases. Yeah. But because we had so many cousins like that, it was my dad's side of the family. There were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 boys.
Wow.
So, you're starting with 13 kids at a base to start the game. It can get, it can get intense.
Yeah. Well, it would have been like the perfect group to play like situation with. Like 9 fielders, a couple of runners.
Yeah, we didn't have the space. It was always at my grandparents' house, who lived like just outside Philadelphia. And they were on this little street, right in this, essentially duplex. And so we literally played run the bases on the street. Like that's all the room we had. So we just didn't quite have the space to put a full-blown wiffle ball game together, which I'm sure we would have if we had the room.
Yeah. That's we had like the sand lot in the backyard.
Yeah.
We didn't do the situation. We didn't have enough people, but pickle, wiffle ball, all that stuff. That's, but that just made me kind of laugh as we were enjoying some Memorial Day burgers. And I just another aside, because I know they listen to this show. My parents have the hottest grill I've ever grilled on in my life. That thing I had on low on all 4 burners, because you got like 20, 25 people there. So you're trying to cook as much as you can, as fast as you can, but not too fast that it burns, right? And I had all these burgers on low, or all these burners on low, and it still was like 450 degrees inside the grill. And I finally turned a burner off because it was like,
yeah, right.
My Lord, it's gonna singe. I'm gonna get singed. Like they have a gas line. It's not like it's not like a propane tank.
Yeah.
It's a gas line that feeds into the grill. So I do think that's part of it. But Mom, Dad, can we chill just a bit? Like, I don't know how to chill, but we got to chill. I've never, ever cooked on a grill that hot in my life.
Hey,
It's
Joe Marie and Big Tom, who I got to see the other day, which was great.
You did. They talked about it a little bit. My Aunt Joni apologized for the events of the golf tournament, and I told her not to even worry about it. We're past it.
Yeah. I'm glad I can still lift your mom up without hurting her. I'm sure we're gonna get to the point that I gotta stop doing that.
Yeah, well, I almost warned you because she had back surgery and
yeah, you should. I know you got to tell me these things.
Yeah, that was on me.
I did it very gently, for the record.
I believe
it was
you.
Very gently.
I believe you. All right, man, you ready to do this?
Yes, let's do this.
All right, let's do the thing, my friend. All right, so we've got sort of 3 things we're going to get to tonight. We're going to talk about the Sixers, and sort of, that target number 1. We want to land on the first guy that they'll be targeting. The second thing that we're going to talk about is Nick Sirianni's contract extension. It did happen before our show last week, but we had so much to talk about that we decided to push it back until this week. So we'll talk about Nick Sirianni's contract extension. That's coming down the conversation here. And then we're gonna talk about the Braves Phillies series, which isn't ending the way that we want it to, but it's fine. And build our quarter century Phillies team. So I'll get to all that. We're not going to spend a ton of time up front here on the Sixers, but did want to talk about Ace Bailey, who I do believe is their primary target at number 3. I do think Ron Harper Jr. is going to be gone. We know Cooper Flagg is going to be gone. Is it Ron Harper Jr.? Or is it something else Harper? Maybe it's not Ron Harper Jr.
Let me check.
It's his kid.
I don't actually know.
Either way. Okay. So Ace Bailey. For me, there's a few things that I want to talk about here. The first is like Paul George calling him his mini-me, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like I didn't necessarily think about, but PG says his game translates really well to the NBA. I think I got to watch a little bit more of him. I watched a little bit of him today just so I could talk about just a couple of things, a couple of notes, and we can dig deeper if they pick him. But I love his length. I know he's listed as 6'10". I don't think he's 6'10".
No, I think it's like closer to 6'8.5" or something like that.
Okay, yeah, he's not 6'10", but he's a long, whatever he is. He reminds me a little bit of Brandon Ingram. Like he's just long. In that way. I do like, there were a lot of clips that I saw that he had the ball in his hands at the end of the game. And I like that about him. I like, as an 18-year-old kid wanting the ball, that sort of mentality isn't something that develops, right? Like, LeBron's always been a pass first guy at the end of games, and that has not changed into his 40s. Same with a guy like Cooper Flagg, who I love. I don't know that he's necessarily a ball at the end of the game guy. He became that as time went on at Duke, but I really like that about Ace Bailey. Very versatile scorer, can score at all 3 levels. There's no real secret to that. I don't necessarily think he's a creator. Like he doesn't create well. He doesn't create space for himself. But he can score with a hand in his face. He's just not a space creator. Good defender. I think the length helps him. In general, he's pretty thin. He's not a thick player, but I don't see that being an issue. They'll be able to fill him out a little bit, which is something they had to do with Joel anyway. Along with not being a creator, I do feel like his feel for the game, his instincts are still a work in progress. Like there were plenty of plays where, he didn't anticipate quickly enough on the defensive side. He didn't anticipate quickly enough on the offensive side. So I think that's still developing. He's also a very emotional player, and I don't know how that plays into playing here in Philadelphia. We talk about the culture of this place, and I don't know how his emotions are going to be helped here in Philly. Nick Nurse is a pretty emotional coach. There's a lot of emotional players already on this roster, and with Embiid. Maxi's not super emotional. PG's not super emotional. So hopefully those guys can kind of take him under his wing and help skew some of that. Ultimately, he's probably your best pick at 3 unless Harper's there. But I don't think Harper's going to be there. I think he's gone at 2.
Yeah.
So
Dylan Harper for the record.
To me, Dylan Harper. Thank you. So I think Ace Bailey, forward from Rutgers, is probably the guy best fit if they stay at 3. Again, good scorer, good defender, good length. Wants the ball at the end of games. Just not yet a creator. I feel like that comes with time and probably can come with more coaching and experience to a faster game. I think the instincts are coachable and can develop in time. It's just going to be tough at the beginning.
Yeah.
The emotion is the part I think that worries me. Right?
Yeah, I think from everything I've read, which isn't a ton, but the little I have read from the places that I like to read it from are like, look, his ability to shot, make and shot create is really up there. And he obviously has the body type to be able to do that. I think for that body type, you're not getting a really good on-ball defender. He just doesn't seem to have the proclivity to be that type of guy. Seems to be a good help defender, right? Has at least some instincts from a help defense side. But I think the big concerns that I see are like his handle still isn't great. So where he has all the ability to make the shots, it's like getting into them, and especially probably with NBA level defense is going to be tough if you don't have the handle to create a little bit on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, the comp of like Michael Porter Jr. is a little scary to me because that guy,
I've not heard that one.
yeah, that's what the Ringer has for him, along with like Rudy Gay, you know, guys like that. It's such a weird place because he's got the ideal size. Like the Sixers need wings, right? Despite Paul George, like we saw he's old, he can't be relied upon all the time. Like a shot making wing is the perfect answer for this team. And maybe you might be able to say like, okay, he doesn't really have to create his own shot because Maxi's going to be there. Again, Joel in his capacity should be able to help get other guys easier looks at shots. I think it's the conundrum of the defense that gets to me. Because like the Sixers defense has been bad. Like it's just been bad. And so adding another guy who really doesn't just instinctively have that defensive desire is tough. Listen, I understand this is a very me-sided opinion, and people are like, dude, it's the NBA, nobody plays defense, or all the things you could say about the defense, right? Well, you know, I might counter with, look at Oklahoma City, and you tell me if the NBA plays defense or not. But it's really tough. That's the dichotomy of what we're talking about. It's tough to look at a guy that even if he's 6'8" and that long with that kind of shot making ability and be like, oh, I really don't want that guy. When this team needs size on the wings and guys like this, you know, he's got a ton of upside. I don't know if I trust the Sixers to unlock his full potential. Quite honestly. Especially if, as you said, he's emotional and maybe doesn't have the thickest skin and is going to go through some growing pains. Like he's going to have nights where he's just a 0 in the box score. It's going to happen. Like this is the NBA. The shots you might be able to get in college, even though his team wasn't very good, as opposed to what you're getting in the NBA, are going to be very different. And he's going to have to learn all that. So you also have to be able to persevere through that and be able to keep working hard and figuring out what you got to do. So I don't know enough about the kid and like the person and the personality to know if he's just got that thing that forces you to just keep getting better and better and better and working harder and harder and harder. I mean, if he does, they're like, the sky's the limit. If he has that, he could be a very, very good player in this league for a long time because he has the ideal body type.
This is the likely pick. If they stay at 3, I don't see anybody else climbing over him. We are like 4 weeks from the draft. Basically a month out at this point. It's June 25th. I'll be watching this in San Diego, California, in my hotel room. So we have about 3 more guys that will profile here as possibilities over the next few weeks. But Ace Bailey's the one, and I don't love those comps like at all. I'll stick to Paul George saying he's a mini-me and hope that that's,
yeah,
what ends up happening, Regz, because
the player comps on the Ringer are The biggest ones are Michael Porter Jr. and Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
The smaller ones are Danny Granger and Rudy Gay.
I mean, look, if your floor is Rudy Gay, it's like the end of the world. But as the number 3 pick, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's the end of the world. I don't even know that I love the ceiling from a number 3 pick standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
I'll be curious.
We can talk about a few others, but
yeah,
we'll get to that
as we go through. Yeah, as we go through, I'll be curious. We're not going to do Dylan Harper. So if you have,
I mean, the only other guy that I've been hearing from the few NBA podcasts that I've listened to who might be edging closer and like be in the conversation is Edgecombe.
Yeah. But we'll talk about him. I have him
exactly
on my list for next week.
Yeah.
But who does the Ringer have? Is Dylan Harper comps?
Oh, yeah, let's take a look. The biggest ones are his dad, Ron Harper. I don't even know who AJ Mitchell is. And then someone said mom made pizza rolls, James Harden. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but not sure what that means exactly. Might be an inside joke on the radio that I don't understand.
I got nothing. I got nothing. I got nothing there. All right. Well, I feel pretty good about that. At least we know all 4 of Bailey's comps. That's fine. You have to look up AJ Mitchell. All right. Anything else there? You good on that?
No, I think like you said, we'll talk about a few other people, but when it first sort of came out that they had the 3rd pick, Bailey was kind of the guy. So we'll see if that changes. We'll see if anybody starts sort of making his way into the conversation, and then we'll talk about the other possibilities.
For sure. Yeah. Edge comes next week. So keep him locked in on your computer there. All right. Well, the Eagles are next on the docket, bud, and there is an extension. What's funny to me, Regz, and I've heard this a couple of times on PHLY, we never know the years or the money attached to a head coach in the NFL or in Major League Baseball or in the NBA. Like, we know the player contract details basically right out of the gate.
Yeah.
We never know the head coach. The players don't even know. They were asking the media the other day if they knew what Nick was getting paid and how long he was going to be there. I think Jalen and AJ asked.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. Regz, just an overarching response here. It's so well deserved for Nick.
Of course.
And this is coming from two guys who were ready to fire him during the bye week.
That's also very true.
I was ready to go, and I've owned it, and I've given my mea culpas on this show over and over again. So I don't feel like I owe any more apologies at this point. I've taken ownership of my belief in
That's true.
him. I've done it. So well deserved. Happy for Nick. This doesn't preclude the Eagles front office or Jeffrey Lurie if he should struggle or the team should struggle in the coming year to be like, thanks, but we'll see on the other side. I think it's going to take a lot.
Yes.
After the Super Bowl and 4 straight playoff appearances, but well-deserved extension for Nick. And hopefully, we get a little bit more longevity than we've had since Andy.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Completely deserved. I don't think anyone can argue with the results he's had with this team. Look, are they an extremely talented team? Yes. But it does take a coach to use that talent in the right way to win football games. Like, you could argue the Dallas Cowboys have been a very talented team for many years now. They have not had the same postseason success as the Eagles have. And that's just, you can chalk that down to a bunch of things, but who your head coach is makes a difference in that. How your head coach handles the relationships with his players makes a big deal, is a big deal. All these things we've already talked about with Nick. I think I'm happy we were at the point where it would have been much more shocking for something like this not to happen than we should be concerned that it happened. Like you said, we might have been on the other side of this very early in the season. But I think as a fan base, at least I would hope, everyone was very happy when the news came out about this. Could it go wrong? Of course it could. Everything in the NFL could go wrong. Apparently, unless you're Andy Reid and you just stick at places forever and your sons can do whatever they want. And apparently that doesn't make any difference in your standing as the head coach somewhere. That's a whole nother conversation though. But I'm very happy for Nick. I'm glad he's sticking around. I think, and we will get into this, I think he is the best coach for this group of guys that they have right now.
Yeah, I believe that too. I think he's made it work in a lot of ways. He's made it work with a difficult quarterback from a personality standpoint. As much as we love Jalen, we know he's not the easiest personality to coach, and they've found a way to make it work at least to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the love and respect of guys like AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley. That offensive line room sounds like it would go to war for him. And I think what really stands out about Nick is that while he coaches his coaches hard, Nick has also been okay saying to Vic Fangio, the defense is yours. I'm not touching it. I'll give you input, but you're the head coach of the defense. I'm curious to see how much of his fingerprints are on this year's version of the offense now that Kellen Moore is gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did see a lot of Kellen Moore in the Super Bowl and in the NFC Championship game. So I will be curious to see how much Fatula gets the reins to all of this as the season begins. It'll be very interesting to follow that storyline. You know, Petula is one of Nick's right-hand men, and he has a great amount of trust in him. But I think Nick's done a lot of good when it comes to the organization. And it's funny that we've come all the way from that first press conference to this stupid flower metaphor to, 2 Super Bowl appearances and a Super Bowl championship, and now a contract extension that could have him here for a long time.
And I think the thing that I think is the best part of this and Nick and how he's evolved over time with this is that I don't think a lot of coaches could work out in how the Eagles are run. Like their decisions on coaches and players is almost, not entirely, but let's just say the weight skews towards the front office. They obviously take input from coaches and all those things. But big decisions like that are the front office decisions. They're not labeled as, where it was in New England, right? Belichick was picking all these guys to draft and all these things. Essentially making these picks by himself. So I think it takes a certain type of person to understand how it works, to buy into that, to be willing to give his input and hopefully argue a little bit when he believes strongly about something. But then when things happen, to go out there and make the absolute best of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then really focus on, okay, that's great. When decisions are made, I will buy in and we will go do our stuff. But I'm going to make sure that the players are aligned, that us as coaches are aligned, that we're all pushing towards the same thing. And that's going to be the culture that we have. Because it has to be. Football especially, it doesn't work out when, it's just a bunch of guys in a room. Guys have to be bought in. They don't have to be best friends. They don't have to be. But they all have to be pushing towards the same thing when they get on the field and in meetings and at practice. So I think he's done a great job of that. And I think the players respect him so much because he's so willing to jump in front of the bus for those guys or do the little things that nobody sees, to build relationships and things like that. So I think he's been great. And he's learned and grown, and look, he's been willing to get better and willing to make some sacrifices, personal sacrifices and career sacrifices to push the team forward and allow the team to push forward and grow.
And with that, with a Super Bowl, with creating that type of culture where players want to go, with 4 straight playoff appearances, with a contract extension come high expectations.
Yeah.
And that I don't think that intimidates Nick, but it also puts him in a category almost by himself. We've seen the win totals and the company that he's in, not just from an Eagles perspective, but from an NFL historical perspective. And so what I wanted to do tonight was, as we look at this extension, compare him to I pulled 15 coaches and good ones, like guys that get talked about as upper echelon tiered coaches, 1 through 3 tier. And I'm curious to know where you have Nick among these 15 other coaches. So I have 16, right? We took half of the league. I did not pull guys from organizations and coaches that we know Nick is a better coach than. But I took, 15 guys who I think, belong in the conversation. And I'm going to name that coach, and Regz is going to tell me that he'd either take that head coach or Nick. And that'll help us whittle out where Regz has Nick.
I want your opinion as well.
Oh yeah, I'll give you mine.
Yeah, all right,
if I agree or disagree.
Yeah,
for sure. We'll start with probably the most difficult one. I mean, I give you the hardest one right off the bat.
All right,
Jonathan Gannon.
Fuck that guy, Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, he counts. I did put him in because I really didn't have a number 16.
Yeah.
Right, once you get to a certain point, I just thought it'd be a fun one to start with. All right, here we go.
Yeah, that's really funny.
For real now. Dan Quinn of the Washington Commanders.
Sirianni. I think last year was a fluke.
I think very similar in style. Dan Quinn's a culture guy.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between the two is one's defensive minded, one is
Sure.
Right. So Dan Quinn needs a Cliff Kingsbury to run the offense, and Nick Sirianni needs a Vic Fangio to run the defense. But at the end of the day, the ring on the finger tells the story.
Yeah.
What he did to him in the NFC Championship game also tells the
I don't think
story.
Dan's sustaining this, as long as Nick has.
I agree. All right. D'Amico Ryans.
I'm still going to take Nick. I think they've had talented football teams down there in Texas. I think very much in the same way. He obviously is a defensive guy and a culture guy. Everyone seems to love him.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that team has been as cohesive as the Eagles have been. And obviously the playoff success sort of speaks for itself.
Right. 100%. I agree with you entirely. I love D'Amico. I wanted the Eagles to interview D'Amico when they hired Sirianni.
Mm-hmm.
Another culture guy. But at the end of the day, like I said, a dynasty is not losing in the wild card 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go to Let's go to Mike McDaniel from the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, Sirianni.
Yeah, Boy Genius doesn't do it for me. I mean, I think he's funny, and I think, it's cool that he looks like a kid but coaches an NFL team and all the stuff.
Yeah.
But gimmicks only go so far, Regz.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem that he's been able to adapt to
Adjust, adapt, all of it.
Just to like a few injuries. That team just seems to go down a hill, like or off a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, why don't we do a few wily veterans at this point?
All right.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah. I'm still taking Nick Sirianni. I like Pete's great. Maybe this is slight early 2000s Notre Dame college football bias coming in with Pete, but look, he won. They won a Super Bowl in Seattle with him. They had that great defense, but at this point, I think Pete's, the magic's gone. I think it just is what it is. A good coach in his own right, but at this point, I'd rather take Nick.
Yeah, I think recency bias is more than fair. And in this case, I'm taking Nick too. Carroll left and came back, and now we have to wait and see. But I think Nick's the clear answer here.
Yeah.
Let's go to another wily veteran then. Sean Payton in Denver.
I don't think Sean Payton would work in Philadelphia.
I don't know that he worked in Denver.
Well, he's a guy who comes in and takes over and is like, he expects, like, I am the end all be all of this. And I don't think
my way or the highway.
Yeah, I don't think that flies with how the Eagles are run. So look, a fine coach, obviously overachieved with what they had in Denver this year. We'll see how year 2 goes. I'm still taking Nick. Again, if this was maybe a while ago when he's with the Saints, it's a different conversation. But we're not talking about that guy.
Yeah, nope. Let's stay out west though. Jim Harbaugh.
I don't know. Maybe this is
I might have gotten you here.
Maybe this is a little closer. I think I still pick Nick. I've never gotten the Harbaugh craziness. Like, I know what he did with the Niners and taking them to a Super Bowl. I know what he did at Michigan and all that. And I don't know. I'm not the biggest. It's not that I dislike him for any particular reason. I truly just have like no strong opinion. And in that way, I don't see him as like this unbelievable head coach that is unassailable. I don't know.
I agree with that. I think this would probably be the first one where we get split.
It's close.
Sort of.
I think
if we asked 50 people, we'd probably be almost split, like right down the middle.
Yeah.
In this,
but you have to think a lot of that is influenced by Harbaugh's college coaching, not his NFL coaching.
Yeah, some of it from his San Francisco days.
Sure.
But I don't disagree with you. I'm with you. I have him ahead of Jim Harbaugh at the very least. And I think that could potentially change in a year or two.
Yeah.
Harbaugh in his first year took a much less talented Charger team to the postseason. So it's possible that in 2 years,
sure,
we're not saying this, but right now, yeah, I agree with you. I do. We'll stay in the AFC. I'm going to stick over there for the time being. Sean McDermott.
I'm taking Nick. If that guy doesn't have Josh Allen, I have no idea what the Bills are.
I mean, even with Josh Allen, I don't know what the Bills are.
I mean, look,
I really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't. Like he has not gotten by Andy Reid not once. This was the year
that
to get Andy. And they choked it away again.
Yeah.
We're not ready to play. It was pretty unbelievable the way that game went. Like, I don't know. I'm not a McDermott guy, so yeah, I'm with you. I take Nick ahead of the pack. Right now, we have Nick as the best head coach in football. We still got some juggernauts coming. Some juggernauts coming here. And let's go. This might be the most interesting debate of them all.
All right.
Mike Tomlin.
Does he have one or two Super Bowls? Does he have one or two Super Bowls?
I think he has two. I'll check. I believe.
I mean,
he
I
has
know
two.
I for sure won.
I remember it.
Yeah.
Never finished under. He's won one Super Bowl. He's never finished under 500.
Yeah. I think this is one where I could go either way. I'm not sure what the right answer is. I think Tomlin would fit extremely well with the Eagles. Again, he would be very dependent on the offensive coordinators that came through and how they handled this sort of talent. Like, the Steelers have never been this kind of offensive juggernaut, you know? So I don't know. This one's close. I have enough respect for Tomlin as a guy and a culture builder and a coach that I think he would do well here, but it would be, again, much like Nick, was very dependent on Fangio and, you know, the defensive coordinators that come in. God, but I got to make a choice, don't I? Damn it. Do you have a clear choice? Do you have a clear choice?
You know, I've gone back and forth on this one a lot. When I was making this list, I'm a Mike Tomlin fan.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Steeler fans who go back and forth on Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin 5 years ago, 6 years ago, clears Nick by a lot.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
One thing I don't think I've seen over the last number of years since Ben left is the ability to develop that next guy. You know, Nick has taken Jalen Hurts and developed around him, and you can say super team all you want. People talk out of both sides of their mouth with that.
Well, yeah, sure.
I'm barely putting Nick ahead of Mike Tomlin. Like skin of my teeth.
Yeah.
But I'm putting him ahead of him, and it's close, man. Like close.
I think
yeah. I wanna put Mike Tomlin ahead of him if I'm being honest. But it is. I think I'm gonna. I think I am. I think I'm putting him ahead of Nick.
Okay. I'm going to put Nick ahead of Tomlin based on more recency bias.
Okay.
It's very close, though.
Yeah. I
feel like us being split there is the perfect decision. Like that's how it perfectly reflects this argument.
Yeah. This one is pretty easy. Andy Reid.
Yeah. It's got to be Andy.
It's got to be, right? Like, there's really no argument. It's got to be.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So it's Andy. All right. We both went there. Good for us. All right. Let's do let's jump over to the NFC for just a few minutes. We'll go 3 coaches, same division. Let's do Matt LaFleur of our beloved
Sirianni.
Green Bay Packers.
Sirianni. That guy's a fraud.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think he is. I think he is a fraud. I think that team's a bunch of frauds. I'm not a Matt LaFleur guy. So yeah, I don't even think I need to spend time here. How about Kevin O'Connell from the Vikings? This is actually more difficult than people want to give it credit for, because O'Connell's teams. Now, the year that Cousins was there and tore his Achilles, they blew, right? But last year, dude took Sam Darnold and made him like a lot of money.
Yeah. I think
Really good defense.
Yeah. But he is
Good
he's an
O-line.
offensive guy.
He
Right.
is. He is. Yeah.
I think
I'm still, let me be clear. I'm still Nick here. I just think it's closer than people think.
I
it is.
agree it's Nick, and I think I think because of the playoff success, like the winning that his teams have done. I think if you were starting, if you wanted to pick somebody, who do you want to pick? What coach do you want to pick to start Jalen Hurts' career with the Eagles? Kevin O'Connell's way up there.
Yeah,
he's a proven developer of these quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And puts them in great situations to be able to be successful. And he's done it with talented receivers. Like you said, he focuses on the offensive line. I just think the winning has to account for something. And I think that's where Sirianni edges him out.
It absolutely does. Yeah, 100% agree. Okay, let's go to the final guy in this division, Dan Campbell.
I think it's Sirianni. What has Campbell done with his teams in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, they've lost in both scenarios. I do think last year is a little bit unfair.
It's right. I'm not putting all that on Campbell, of course.
I think he's a hell of a head coach.
I agree.
I think Nick's better, but it's not by. Again, this is another one that I debated. Like, I thought about putting him ahead of Nick, but the ring matters. The winning matters.
I think it has to.
Nick's been to the Super Bowl twice in 4 years.
Yeah. He's on that list of guys that if you flip them right now, would you be concerned? And nope, I'm good.
No, I honestly feel that way about Kevin O'Connell.
That's what I mean. He's on that list that we're starting of coaches that if you just said, okay, they're the Eagles coach now, you'd be like, cool. I got no problem with that.
So we have 2 more guys left. And as of now, I have Nick as the 3rd best head coach. You have Nick as the 2nd best head coach. With 2 guys left, both of whom are good conversations. Let's start with this one, and then we'll go to the one that I think is probably the best conversation. How about John Harbaugh? We both said no to Jim, but what about John Harbaugh? I put him ahead of Nick.
My first instinct is to do the same thing.
Yeah. And this is one in the other direction. Like, Andy, to me, it's not close. Like,
yes,
Andy is a tier of his own.
Yeah.
I believe that Nick is now in the John Harbaugh tier, but John's ahead of him.
Yeah.
And it's the first time where I will say, like, it's close, where I debated, it's sort of like the Tomlin thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have Harbaugh a little bit, I have Harbaugh ahead of both of them.
And I think it's because, and I think the Tomlin thing is a good comparison, but then you sort of get to, well, we've seen what Tomlin's sort of floor is, and it's just being over 500. Harbaugh's floor is having really good teams, like, all the time. Not just 9-8, like 13-4, 12-5. Teams that are in the conversations for Super Bowl contention year after year after year. So I think that's the difference there, but I agree with you. I think John Harbaugh is a really good head coach.
Yeah, that one felt easier
and would fit fantastically in Philadelphia.
Absolutely. Well, one of them played here.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. And coached here.
I don't remember which one, but one of them did. All right. Last one. I think you probably know who it is at this point. It's my favorite of the conversations. Sean McVay.
Yeah.
Sean McVay.
I think it's Sean McVay.
I do too.
I
and
really like
I don't
that
know
guy.
why. Because Nick has never lost to him.
I know. So here's my opinion. I think Sean McVay does everything Nick does, just a little bit better. And he just hasn't had the same teams.
Yeah.
The Rams, again, they won a Super Bowl. They had Aaron Donald, obviously,
Yep.
Matt Stafford. I think he has been a guy who has shown an ability to adapt, to be inventive, to be on the cutting edge of offense, to be an unbelievable talent evaluator with the guys that they draft. I think everything about him is exactly what the Eagles want in a head coach. And he has proven to be able to do all of those things at a very, very high level. And he matches rings, right? He matches rings with Sirianni. All that. I just think that dude's a really, really good head coach. And I'm going to give him the nod. Because I think he gets the nod on that sort of offensive innovation side and how he's proven to be a play caller and all those things. I think that gives him a slight edge on Nick.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact number, but I think if I'm remembering this correctly, the last 5 years, the Eagles and the Rams have been to 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them, representing the NFC. Like, that's pretty good. And now Nick got to 2 of those 3. So there's that. But McVay teams are typically there. McVay teams are very well coached. Now, let me get one thing very clear. I'm not impressed that he can name the play and the guys.
Yeah.
That doesn't impress me. That's not why that's not why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I know it's not why you're doing what you're doing. It's simply that when you see him, he strikes fear in you. His teams strike fear in you. His offense strikes fear. I'm not super excited to have to deal with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
With Matthew Stafford this year. That's not fun. It's not fun. They draft and develop young talent at a really high level. Jared Verse, that defensive line was loaded this year.
Yeah.
And that was without Aaron Donald. So I don't know. It's tough for me not to put McVay ahead of Nick. And this one again is close. It's not a blowout. I don't want people coming into our comments and oh, you got shut up. Shut up. It's it's okay.
I mean, still leave the comment, please, but
yeah, but shut up. Proactively, shut up.
Yeah.
I'm responding to you ahead of time because I know what's going to happen. But so here's where we got him. You have Nick. 1, 2.
Should be 4th, right?
4th, and I have Nick 5th. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You got a top 5 head coach, and if I'm ordering the 4 in front of him, for me, it's Reed, Harbaugh, McVay, Tomlin, and I'm sure you're doing Reed, Harbaugh, McVay, Nick, unless you're switching Harbaugh and McVay.
I am switching Harbaugh and McVay. I'm going Reed, McVay, Harbaugh. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's a good discussion, man.
That was fun.
I enjoyed that. I didn't enjoy tonight's baseball game though.
Yeah. I wasn't happy either. I hate losing starts by your ace. I hate it. I don't know why I hate it. I know it's going to happen, right?
You lost to another ace though.
It's going to happen. It's annoying. We won the series. That was the goal. Keep winning series. That's all what they got to do.
Always the goal. It's always the goal. Win the series. Continue to put distance between you and teams. They have a 9.5 game lead
Yeah.
on the Braves. You know, I think for me, it would have been nicer going into the weekend with a 3-game in the loss column lead over the Mets,
Yeah.
who host the Rockies. So they're going to win all 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Phils, you know, you got to hope for 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, who's not, you know, not been a great team, but you know, they're still annoying enough. So this series though, as a whole, Regs, it's about what you expect from an Atlanta series. Unfortunately, they took the one on the chin that hurt the most. I do think, you know, what they were able to do with Strider was great. Good job by Ranger in that game.
Yeah.
Awesome. We talked about today, Sanchi's start was a little weird, but like it's amazing that he continues to find ways through almost 6 innings without good stuff. I feel like I've said that about a lot of our starters not named Jesus Luzardo.
Yeah.
You know, Wheeler tried to grind through 6 tonight and just couldn't get there. The Braves seem to have his number in the regular season for whatever reason.
Yeah.
He dominates them in the postseason.
Yeah.
But in the regular season, they have his number.
Someone put out a stat. They were like, in Wheeler, 2 starts against the Braves, like a 6-something ERA.
He hasn't gotten out. He hasn't gotten out of the 6th yet.
10 starts. It's 10 or 11 against all other teams. It's like under 2. It's really weird.
He just, for some reason, the Braves have his number a little bit. It might be familiarity. It might just be that they are better against right-handed pitching. It's a big reason why the Phillies wanted to have 2.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell they struggled with right-handed
Yeah.
pitching. Or, I'm sorry, with left-handed pitching. Couldn't touch Ranger. And even though Sanchi wasn't good, they struggled with him.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, maybe it's the right-handed pitching thing. They just hit right-handed pitching really well. I don't know.
And if you want to take some more silver linings, you didn't have Bryce Harper for 2 games. Essentially 3, right? He came out in the first inning.
He got hit in the first.
Yeah, you were without Bryce Harper offensively, you know, for all 3 games. Trey Turner had 1 hit in this whole series.
Yep.
Kyle, despite the home runs, wasn't lighting up the world.
Nope.
Stott was okay. Bohm was fine. Nick was great. I thought Nick was pretty good. Nick was great. JT still sucks. And Weston Wilson's God almighty. Brandon Marsh was terrible.
This right-handed lineup is
So you essentially won 2 out of 3 against the Braves with Trey Turner hitting as badly as he did this series. Not having
no Bryce Harper.
Kyle being not great.
Yeah.
And your pitching being weird. And you took 2 out of 3. So
yeah. Can we not just take into consideration that after tonight's game, just some fun facts for you. They've won 9 out of 10 series. They've won 11 of their last 13 games. And they've won 23 of their last 30 games. Like,
it's pretty good.
Can we just be okay? Can we just be okay?
Yes.
Like, everybody breathe. You know, the funny thing is that when you look around baseball, when you look around the rest of Major League Baseball, right? Obviously, the Phillies and the Mets playing really good ball. 36 wins, 34 wins. The Braves have 26 wins. Washington 25, Miami 22. The Cubs have 35 wins. The Phillies took 2 out of 3 on the road in Chicago. The Cardinals have 32 wins. Cardinals had the Phillies number for whatever reason. No one else in the Central has more than 30 wins. Milwaukee's floating right at 500. Cincinnati right at 500. We won't even mention the Pirates right now. The Dodgers, 34 wins. San Diego, 31 wins. The Giants, 31 wins. Arizona, under 500. The Rockies don't even have 10 wins yet. The Yankees have 35 wins. Everybody else in the AL East has less than 30 wins. The highest in that division is 28 wins, Tampa. That division stinks,
Is
by
that
the
the
way.
most in that division?
28 outside of the Yankees. Yep, 28 and
Oh
27,
my
Tampa.
God.
The Blue Jays are 28 and 28. The Central. The Tigers now have the best record in baseball. They're 37 and 20. The Guardians and the Twins both have 30 wins. Kansas City has 30 wins. The White Sox, an improvement this year, 18 wins.
There you
at
go.
this point.
Hey.
The West, 2 teams have 30 wins. Everybody else, 27 or less. So, the Phillies have the second most wins in baseball. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of 30 teams under 30 wins at this point. So, they're in the better half, and they're one of like 4 teams that have 35 or better wins. So, everybody breathe. This game, I know it will eat at a lot of people, but chill.
Yeah. Series wins, people. That's what we need. Keep winning series. You're not going to sweep them all.
Do we think Bryce plays this weekend?
Yes.
Do we think Bryce plays tomorrow night?
I'm going to say yes.
I don't know what the pitching matchup is tomorrow night. If it's a lefty, he better play, because that defense against that lineup against a lefty is it's a righty tomorrow. So if he doesn't play,
I'm going to say yes. I was perfectly happy with him missing today. Let the swelling go down as much as possible. Get him all the treatment he needs. I think he swung in between games. If it's still a little sore, don't bother, man. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. They were able to get the series without him. I even said after he got hit and they won Friday night, I'm like, look, you got one. I don't care if he doesn't play tomorrow. You got one. You're not getting swept.
Yep.
It's fine. Do not force him back for any reason. Yeah. So I was perfectly fine with him sitting today and resting it. Hopefully comes in tomorrow and feels better, gets more treatment, and is able to go.
So they don't face a lefty on Friday. They don't face a lefty. Sunday is to be determined for the Brewers. So I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. And I think you see how it is, right? You see if he plays tomorrow, you see how it is Saturday morning. And if it's sore, then he sits down. It just is what it is.
Yeah. The Braves go to Boston for 3. Oof. Gosh, man. Hello. And the Rockies are in New York. Everybody else doesn't matter.
The Rockies are taking one. They're getting one.
You think so?
Yep, I believe in them.
Well, it's Freeland, Senzatella, and then some jabroni I've never heard.
That's right. Kyle's going to do it for us. Kyle's
0-7.
Yeah, he's going to do it for us. It's going to be fine.
With an ERA over.
We faced that Plumquist guy, didn't we?
Did we? Is that what, did we? I mean, this would have made sense to face those 3 guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I must not have been paying attention. All right. Well, just one more thing before we go into the quarter century team. I just need to say this. I'm as concerned about the bullpen as everybody else. I know I talked about this a little bit last week, and I just want to mention it again. I was a little disappointed that they didn't go and get Diaz's brother if he was available.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the perfect type of move for them right now. Like, it at least helps. And his numbers outside of Great American were awesome.
Yeah.
I also know that teams are going to hold them up.
Yeah.
So they didn't get him, but that doesn't mean that every offer is going to be similar to what the Dodgers were able to get him for. I just need people to breathe on that a little bit. They're going to get 1 or 2 guys. They're going to use some of their starters. It's okay. I am concerned about Matt Strahm. He's not an 8th inning guy.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try and use him that way. They're going to try a lot of different things. They just traded for someone from the Blue Jays, and he's heading
Yeah.
to AAA
Yeah.
because they had a 40-man spot. Walker, I don't know much about him. I'll have to look him up and check out.
He had a
some stuff.
7 ERA.
Yeah,
I know. Listen, it is what it is. It just
No, my thoughts though, Regs, whenever the Phillies acquire a pitcher, like it's sort of like we talk about with Vic Fangio. Like they run it by
yes,
Caleb
absolutely.
Cotham and say like,
Do you see
can we do
something?
something
Right.
here?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so, get him in the Cotham lab and see what happens.
Yeah.
But he's a lefty.
Yep.
They're
yes.
desperate for a lefty.
Yes.
If they can figure something out with this guy, let's ride.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So it's going to be a process, and as long as they, like Reg said, keep winning series, then it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
Just continue to win games and see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we jump into this?
No, let's jump into it.
All right. So there's, with it being the 2025, Jayson Stark and some other people around Major League Baseball have started doing quarter century teams. And so Regz and I we're about to. We haven't even talked about this outside of this is what we're going to do tonight. Put together a quarter century team for the Phillies. So we have 24 spots. We have every position on the field and DH. We have 5 starters, 4 bench spots. And what did we say? 5 relievers, 6 relievers. 6 relievers that have played for the Phillies since the year 2000. And that is the plan from here. So we'll alternate back and forth. Regz will pick someone. I will either agree with it or I get 2 challenges.
Yeah.
The challenges don't mean that we're replacing the guy. It's just that I want to bring up another name for conversation, and Regz could say, no, I'm sticking, or I'm good with changing that. But we only get 2 through our 12 alternating picks. So that's how we're going to do it. And we'll see how it ends up.
All right.
Any questions, Regz?
No, I'm ready.
All right. Well, you get to start, buddy. So you get to put the first one on the board.
All right. I feel like this is one that needs no challenging, but first base, I'm going the big piece, Ryan Howard.
Yep, we agree on that. There's really no conversation to be had there. It's Ryan Howard. Good job. We're 1 for 1.
Good job, us.
I will also give us a layup. I'll go to his right.
Yep.
And say the second baseman is Chase Utley.
Perfect.
That feels good. We are on the same page through 2. Good for us.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna go right field.
Whoa. Okay.
I'm gonna mix it up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna go right field, and I'm gonna go Bryce Harper.
That's who I have in right field.
This is one I think you could. I wouldn't say I agree with you, but if you wanted to make the arguments of, I think, 2 folks, and let's see if you agree with me, Bobby Abreu and Jason Worth.
Yeah, I have them both written down here.
That's what I think. Those are the 2 arguments. I still don't think I'd let you win, but if you had to, you could make arguments for those 2.
For sure. I agree 1,000% with you. All right. You know what? Let me go into the rotation.
All right.
If I may.
Please.
Cole Hamels has to be 1 of 5, right?
Yes. No argument.
Right. Cole Hamels 1 of 5. Okay. We're 4 for 4, buddy.
Okay. I'm gonna let you have that one. Third base. Scott Rowland.
Yes. Yeah, we
2
are.
years.
Yeah.
2001, 2002.
Yeah,
and,
but what's your other
2000.
option?
No, there's no other good option.
I mean, it's Pedro Feliz, Maikel Franco, Placido
Bohm.
Polanco,
Yeah.
Alec
Bell.
Bohm.
David Bell.
Yeah. Oh God Almighty. Oh my God. Good Lord.
Had to throw that in there
All
for you,
right.
bud.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna give you. One of my very favorites of all time. And it's really not even in question. It's Jimmy Rollins.
Yeah, this is the one I wanted you to have.
Yeah, that's not even. That's my guy. Freaking love him.
Yeah, so do I.
All right, 6 for 6. Feeling good. Feeling strong.
Okay, I'm gonna go reliever.
All right.
I'm gonna pick a relief pitcher, Ryan
like
Madsen.
it. Yeah, he's on mine too. Okay. All right. Yeah. Very, very underrated and underappreciated relief pitcher for the Phillies. Like that dude in like 08 was just
Oh my God,
untouchable.
so much fun.
You know, Andrea asked me the other night if I could add any Philly to this year's team, who would I add? And I actually said his name out loud as a possibility. Could you imagine just how good we would feel about having Ryan, like prime Ryan Madsen?
Yeah.
Pen.
Yeah.
God, he was so
really
good.
good.
Oh,
yep. Really
so
good.
So good. All right. This was another guy. If I could only add one player. Center field Shane Victorino.
Yes.
Right? It's got to be.
Absolutely.
It's got to be. Okay. That was another guy I said we could desperately use a center
That
fielder.
would be unbelievable.
Yeah,
Quite honestly.
It'd be nice.
All right. I'm going to go catcher, and I'm going Chooch.
Okay. I'm going to throw my first challenge here.
I thought you might.
Yeah. So, all right. I get it because I love Carlos Ruiz. Who doesn't love Carlos Ruiz? But like prime JT Realmuto, like what was?
It's a fair challenge.
Light years better than Carlos Ruiz.
That's very true.
Like light years, and I do believe that declining JT is as good, if not better, than prime Carlos. Like prime Carlos was like a 250 like hitter, 12 home runs.
Listen, this is
called a great game, threw guys out.
Admittedly.
JT, hold on, one more thing.
Yeah.
JT's at a huge disadvantage now in today's game with like limited pickoff attempts. The way that like the bases are a little shorter, like the whole thing, right? I wonder what Chooch would translate to now. JT could go back and be as dominant then, right? I look at Ryan Howard and I think, my God, what he would do without the shift.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
Right? What he would do without the shift. What Jimmy Rollins would have done stealing bases if there was only 3 attempts. Shane Victorino, the same thing. I think, I don't know that Chooch translates as well, especially offensively, to this game as JT Realmuto has. I don't know how he translates base runner throwing out. So I'm challenging a little bit here. I had both of them written down. But I'm going to challenge. It's your call from that point.
I think it's perfectly fair. I think this is my first true nostalgia pick over whatever stats might tell me about this position, because I don't disagree with you. So that just leads to, okay, are we truly just trying to make the best possible baseball team? Or are we adding in a little bit of like, how did these guys make us feel? And what did they do for us? I think
that's fair.
I think the exercise as it stands is you are making the best possible baseball team. And because of that, I will switch to JT Realmuto.
Okay, so then I will put Carlos Ruiz on the bench.
Okay.
As the backup. It worked out for everybody.
There you
But
go.
I do think I do believe JT's the starter here. I really do.
I think you're right. And like I said, that pick was based on much nostalgia, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're just trying to create the best Phillies baseball team from the past 25 years,
Yeah.
2019, 2020, 2021, 2022 JT,
Yeah.
yes, is a much better baseball player than Carlos Ruiz probably ever was.
All right. So I did put Chooch here. And look, it is, I think there's a little bit of who was the better Philly. I understand Chooch's value to that team and all of that. Also, JT's been here for 6 years. Like, it's not like he's just been here for like a hot minute. I'd have to look back at Chooch's career. I feel like he became like the full-time starter in 08.
2007.
I forget when 7 is what full-time starter or when he came up.
It's listing him on the thing I'm looking at as
I wonder how many games he started.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but
Chris Coast caught a lot of games.
Yeah.
that those years, and I feel like they traded him in what 13, 14.
He said he was here in 15.
He was here in 15. Okay, so he played for 8 years.
Yeah.
JT might very well end up here for years. So yeah, we'll see. I don't think you can go wrong either.
Yeah.
Either answer is fine. All right, before you go, because I added Chooch, I didn't clarify this ahead of time. In terms of DH, do they have to have been a DH?
I'm going to say no. Since it just became a thing, I'm going to go with no.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, you're up.
All right, I'm going to go with another starter. Zach Wheeler.
Yeah, it's a great one. He was the first one I wrote down. Okay, then I'm going to go to DH, and I'm curious to know reaction to this. And I'm gonna make the DH Bobby Abreu.
Okay. Challenge.
There it is. All right, go for it.
I mean, Kyle Schwarber. I'm just gonna.
I get it.
I mean, we all know Kyle Schwarber. I think. Whereas you put Chooch on like the bench, this is where I might put Abreu as like the one guy that misses out by that was so good. Criminally underrated. I agree.
Yeah.
I just think what Kyle has been doing for this team, obviously he hasn't been here as long, so maybe when you get into the when you're trying to make the Phillies, Abreu might be the pick, but I don't think we can talk about the DH position as a Philly. Still using the rule, of that they didn't have to play it and not have Kyle Schwarber up there.
All right. I'm willing to sacrifice.
You don't have to. This is your decision.
I'm with you. There was part of me that wanted to put Bobby in left field and cheat the system a little bit.
I agree. I was gonna ask, do we have to have the outfield exactly where they played? But I think that's the nature of the game.
That's the only. Yeah, I think that's the caveat with the DH. Like I like that you said it. Bobby was such a good defensive outfielder too.
Yes.
So he belongs on the team. I'm fine with. I hope he's here for the rest of his career so that we can add that longevity. That's all I can hope for.
Yeah.
So all right. So you're putting Bobby on the bench. That's your move.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Then I'm up again. I don't think that I don't know why neither of us have said this yet, but I don't know how we make this list without Roy Halladay.
Yeah, of course. I was just waiting for you to say it, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I can appreciate that. Thank you. All right, we've got left field, 2 starting pitchers left, and 2 bench spots to go.
All right, I'm going to go left field.
Go for it.
And here's where I'm very interested to see. I think I know who you're picking. That's why I kind of want to pick the other person I'm thinking about to maybe force your challenge out here.
Yeah.
And just for us to have the discussion.
Sure.
So maybe I'll do that. I'm going to say Raul Ibanez.
Change it. Like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Raul Ibanez never rode down Broad Street with the Clydesdales. That's that.
See, this is why. All right. It's Pat Burrell.
I mean, it's a good use of your challenge. It's a good use of forcing me into the second challenge. Pat Burrell defines that era. That dude was drafted in 2000. And the rookie campaign was out of control good. Sucked sophomore year. Got the big contract right before that. Turned his whole story around. Became one of the most beloved Phillies in franchise history. Got the big hit in the World Series.
Okay, you win.
All right, you took it away. You took away my last challenge. I don't have any more challenges. I have to every touche.
I'm not sure you're going to need them, quite honestly. This was the one place I think you were going to need to use it, and I just felt like I had to force it. Again,
okay.
I'm with you. It's Pat Burrell, but
all right.
I felt like it was something I had to do.
All right. Well, I don't think you'll challenge this. Aaron Nola.
The problem is I don't know the rest of them. Like he's our third, right? And we have 5.
No, we have Wheeler, Halliday, and Ham.
Yeah, but we're getting 5 starters, right?
Yeah, so that's number 4.
Oh, that's number 4. Damn. Let me look. Who was I going to pick again?
I mean, if you have 2 who are better, 2 who are more, who have been better than Nola.
No, I don't.
I had a hard time coming up.
I don't. I had
a hard time coming up with one more after.
Yeah, I don't.
All right, you're up. 1 starter, 2 bench bats, 5 relievers. You still have a challenge. I'm out. So whoever you say stays.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go reliever.
Sure.
And I'm going, despite this year, Alvarado.
I had Jose down. Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. I couldn't challenge anyway, but that's a good one. Okay. I'm really curious. I'm really curious how you respond to this one. I'm going to go with my first reliever.
All right.
Jonathan Papelbon.
Oh, my God.
All-time saves leader in Philadelphia.
That's what makes it really difficult to challenge. But, God, that guy's a dick.
Oh, he's the worst. He's the worst. Criminally bad human being. But goodness gracious, could you... If they would have had him in 2009, they probably win a World Series.
Yeah, I'm not going to challenge it. I mean, he's the team leader in saves. I'm not sure how I could challenge it, quite honestly.
I hate the stat, but I don't know how you don't put him on.
I'm with you. I wish I had a better I wish I could think of a good reason. Trust me, I wish I could.
2 bench bats, 3 relievers, and 1 starting pitcher.
Yeah. All right. Where do we go here?
I cannot challenge you. So whoever you say go.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm going to go bench bat. And I'm going to go Rhys Hoskins.
I did not have him. I did not have Reese. Okay. I don't hate it. I'll be honest with you, I actually kind of forgot about Reese. So, yeah, okay. All right. I can get that. I can get behind that. I'm not angry. That's a good one. I'll save who I had for,
Yeah.
All right. Gosh, so I want to go with I don't want to go with bench bat right now. I either want to do starting pitcher, who I despise that I put this guy down, or one of these 4 relievers I have written down. Man, oh God, I feel like you're gonna challenge. Okay, so I have 2 closers here.
Okay.
I feel like I've got to say the one. I don't know how you make this team without him. I don't. I know he wasn't good after it, but like the perfect season alone for me,
Thank
he
you.
has to be
Yes.
on here.
Yes, he has to.
So he's literally hanging behind me.
Yeah.
Pictures. So Brad Lidge has
He has to be on there.
All right. I'm glad we agree on that. All right. So 2 more relievers, 1 more bench bat starter.
I'm going to go starter.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Cliff Lee.
All right. So that's who I had. Regz, I looked to see when we traded Schilling. He just wasn't here long.
Yeah.
He wasn't here long enough in the 2000s to warrant keeping him on. And when you think about other starters that we've had, like who else was as good as Cliff Lee?
Right. If this was the quarter century before this one, Schilling's on there with no question. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
don't know if there's another starter you could put on there that I wouldn't challenge.
Yeah, I thought about like other guys from that run. It was like Joe Blanton, Jamie Moyer, like Jay Happ.
Yeah.
There just were no real like freaking Kyle Kendrick.
Yeah.
And then, in this run, you've got Ranger.
No Jake Arrieta? You weren't going.
I hate Jake Arrieta so much. So much. So much. All right. We got 1 bench bat and 2 relievers left. All right. Now, here's the deal with this one. Since you went Reese, I think it makes it a little easier for me to go here. I'll do the bench bat. You still have a challenge left, and you might save that for. So I'll say this. Maybe you will challenge this. Jason Worth.
No, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay. I will tell you who my other bench bat was.
Yeah, I honestly, where you forgot Reese, as soon as we talked about Worth, I completely forgot him for a bench spot. I love that. But first of all,
I mean, our bench is, I don't think it matters, but it's like 2 outfielders, a first baseman, and a catcher, right?
Yeah,
but like
look,
it doesn't
it
matter.
is.
But I thought about like Trey Turner here. I thought about Placido Polanco here.
Yeah.
Like those were names
I even thought
that sort of like
Gene.
Oh yeah, Gene would have been a good one.
Thought about him.
Yeah. Congratulations on the retirement again, Mean Gene.
Despite Trey Turner being who he is, I think Worth is a great choice here.
I think he is too. I just think he was so important. Trey could end up with like 200 plus hits this year. And, in 2 years, like we said earlier about like the coaching situation with Sirianni and change, this could change.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's 2025 will be over.
Yeah.
So this won't even be a discussion. All right, 2 relievers left. You get 1, and then you might end up challenging mine. Who do you got?
Yeah, this one is, your knowledge of this really helps. But I'm going JC Romero.
Wow, I didn't even have him written down. Wow. Okay. Oh, then you're definitely going to challenge last one. All right. Yeah, I would have challenged the hell out of that.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
That's fair.
So
this wasn't my strongest category, I'll say.
No, I understand that. So maybe you won't challenge. I had 3 other guys written down. And I feel like I got to go with this guy because if I don't, then I feel I don't know. I hate him though. But I mean, how do you not put a Hall of Famer on here? Billy Wagner. Like I'd have to look at the save totals.
Yeah.
But I feel like Billy was like,
I mean,
a really good Philly.
Is there anybody else I could think of?
I mean, I've got 2 more written down. If you want to challenge, I can give them to you, and you.
I mean, I don't have any. I guess the only time I can use it. So let's use it and let's hear the other two.
Well, let me just. He had all right. So he played 2 years, pitched 2 years in Philly. He had a 1-2 WAR in 04 and a 2.7 WAR. Good God, a 2.7 WAR as a closer in 2005. His ERA in 04 was 2.42. His ERA in 05 was 1.5. He had 21 saves in 04 and 38 in struck out 87 in 72 innings. Or I'm sorry, 77 innings. God almighty. I think he was hurt in 04. But he struck out 59 in 48 innings in 04. Was an all-star in 05. He was not here for long, but he was good.
Yep.
You can absolutely challenge it. I have 2 others written down.
That's all I got. So let's challenge it. Let's hear the other 2.
All right. So one that I have is Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Okay.
And I wrote him down specifically because of 2022.
Sure.
And that World Series run does not happen. I feel like we said Alvarado.
Yep.
That World Series run doesn't happen. Sir Anthony Dominguez.
That's very true. It's very true.
At all. He was lights the hell out in the postseason.
Yes, he was.
The other one is based solely off longevity and the fact that I love him with all of my heart and soul. Hector Neris.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of Hector.
Yeah. Hector the Protector. That is one of my all-time. That is, he just pitched for such bad Philly.
That's very true. That's very true.
They were so bad. He was like, when you think about who we have here, he's the only guy from the bad Phillies teams aside from Reese.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you could say Chase
Sure.
was there for a little bit, right? Chooch was there for a little bit. Cole was there for a little bit. But no one really lived in the bad Phillies like Reese Hoskins and Hector Neris.
That's a fair point.
So those are the 2 challenges to a Hall of Famer.
I'm still gonna go Billy Wagner. I think the closest I think Hector, just for how long he was around.
Yeah.
Sir really was like, that year was incredible. Like, I think that's why Alvarado goes in ahead of him, because Alvarado has sustained it a little bit. I think Wagner's the right choice. I'm just looking at the records for some of those teams. God, 63 and 99, 66
Which
and 96.
Team? Like the middle of it all?
2013 to like 17.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that Mickey Moniak did this on this list.
Amazing.
All right, let me run through it and then we'll wrap up.
All right.
So catchers JT Realmuto challenged in. First base Ryan Howard, second base Chase Utley, third base kills me to say Scott Rowland, shortstop Jimmy Rollins, left field Pat the Bat, center field Shane Victorino, right field Bryce Harper, DH Kyle Schwarber, the bench Carlos Ruiz, Bobby Abreu, Reese Hoskins, Jason Worth. Starting pitchers Zach Wheeler, Roy Halladay, Cole Hamels, Aaron Nola, Cliff Lee. Relief pitchers, Billy Wagner, J.C. Romero, Jose Alvarado, Ryan Madsen, Brad Lidge, and Jonathan Papelbon. I like it.
What a team that is. Those starters are gross, by the way.
Oh, forget it. Forget it.
That's a disgusting starting lineup. Or
today
starting staff.
This is sort of a fixated moment. Today is the anniversary of Roy Halladay's perfect game.
Yes.
Love you, Doc.
That's right. I remember...
Man, that was fun.
I remember sprinting up to some condo we had rented some shore somewhere, I don't remember where, just to try and catch the end of the game. And I saw the last 3 outs on a TV that is smaller than the monitor I am looking at right now.
I watched it in my parents' kitchen, actually.
There you go.
I was playing in a Sunday baseball league back home. I was living here in Hershey, but I played in a Sunday league at home, and I would stay there in the summer, like overnight instead of driving back. And I went home. We got some Richards. We turned on the game, and I basically stood at the counter in the kitchen and watched the whole thing. I wouldn't move from that spot.
Yeah.
My dad was like, "Why don't you go downstairs and watch it?" I was like, "Big Tom, come on. Come on." So, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
They had the replay on a Memorial Day.
That's awesome.
And I rewatched the last 3 innings, and my goodness, watching Roy Halladay in his prime was special, man. He put the ball wherever he wanted it, wherever he wanted it. But it's crazy. He didn't throw harder than 94.
I know. Yep.
Just surgical. All right. Well, that was fun, man. Good show.
That was great.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We will be back Thursday. I'll be recording from Massachusetts with Regz. So we'll be back then. We'll have another Sixers thing. We'll talk a little bit about the maybe mini camp with the Eagles, unless there's other news that comes about.
Yeah.
With the Phils, we've got the Milwaukee series, and I forget where they head after that. I know Pittsburgh's somewhere in the mix, but there's another team floating around, so we'll do a little bit of that. I know Regz is looking at it now.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, click that subscribe button on YouTube. Go head over to wherever you get your podcasts, rate and follow. Follow us on all social media platforms at Big Regz with a Z app, the Mic Drop 5 on Twitter, the Phixated fan page on Facebook, at the Phixated Pod on TikTok, at the Phixated Podcast on Instagram. Click that merchandise link in the show description. Regz, who do they have?
They're going up north to see our buddy Jeff.
Going up north to see our buddy Jeff. Oh, they're going to Toronto. That's right. They go Toronto, Pittsburgh,
back home.
Toronto's a home series coming up too. It's like they play them in the span of 2 weeks.
Yeah, Toronto, Pittsburgh away, and then Cubs, Blue Jays home.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, look, those are all winnable series for the Milwaukee, Toronto, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Chicago's tough. We know that. We faced them in Chicago. And then, another one with Toronto. All winnable. You go and win all those series, you're feeling pretty good, because that takes you pretty much through the middle of June.
Yeah.
So at that point, you got to be feeling good. You got reserves on the way and things coming. So, all right, we'll be back on Thursday. Until then, be kind to yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Tell someone you love them. We'll see you all on Thursday. And until then, Phils, just keep piling up the series wins.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later.
Oh, my God.
way up there and way out of here. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.